Shoot a brief topic. Number one says Charleston White's message to Black Americans. This came with a link that will take us to Twitter. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Okay, good. Fix it. Great. So this is a transcript, basically. This is from Wall Street Apes, which is an interesting name. This is a transcript of what Charleston White's going to say in the video. I'll just get right to it and play the video. It's a little over a minute. Maybe we'll watch it twice as we wait.
As much as we don't want to believe this, the white man is our only ally in this world. The white American man is our only ally in this world because he will unite with us under our constitutional rights to help save his country. He's our real brother. The white man taught us how to read, homie. The Mexicans didn't. The white man died with us, homie, to help us get out of slavery. The Chinese didn't. The white man fought alongside the white Jewish man with Dr. King to help us get civil rights. The Mexican didn't. The Latin didn't. The Chinese didn't. The Cuban didn't. So he's really our only friend in the world. Because as much as y'all want to believe, if y'all leave this country, nigga, they go kick you worse than your ass. You go somewhere. Go to Africa and watch how the Africans treat y'all. Nigga, go somewhere. Nigga, man, don't nobody like us but the white boy and his white woman. They our only real friend, my nigga. I swear to God. I swear to God, homie, they our only real friend. That's why, homie, don't nobody else really fuck with us but white people. Everybody else use us for economical benefits.
I'm gonna play that again. I just want to take a beat to say good night to Janelle, to Joe, who says good night, everyone. But this is Charleston White's message to Black Americans. You guys, please post your thoughts as I play it again. Post your thoughts as I play it again. I want to play it again because I really want y'all to pick up on what this guy's putting down. And I have an observation that I'll give afterwards. So I'm going to play it one more time.
As much as we don't want to believe this, the white man is our only ally in this world. The white American man is our only ally in this world because he will unite with us under our constitutional rights to help save his country. He's our real brother. The white man taught us how to read, homie. The Mexicans didn't. The white man died with us, homie, to help us get out of slavery. The Chinese didn't. The white man fought alongside the white Jewish man with Dr. King to help us get civil rights. The Mexican didn't. The Latin didn't. The Chinese didn't. The Cuban didn't. So he's really our only friend in the world. Because as much as y'all want to believe, if y'all leave this country, nigga, they go kick you worse than your ass. You go somewhere. Go to Africa and watch how the Africans treat y'all. Nigga, go somewhere. Nigga, man, don't nobody like us but the white boy and his white woman. They our only real friend, my nigga. I swear to God. I swear to God, homie, they our only real friend. That's why, homie, don't nobody else really fuck with us but white people. Everybody else use us for economical benefits.
Yeah, what a doozy. You know, it's things like this why I am I'm becoming more and more of a person who doesn't really endorse folks anymore. Because as soon as you hear someone say something good, because the problem is we live in a soundbite world. So today you might hear a guy say something that you say, yeah, man, right on, Black nationalist, Pan-African, or Black upliftment, whatever. And then tomorrow you'll hear a soundbite that's just like, oh my God. You know what I mean? And it's coming to a point now where you really can't endorse folks, especially public speakers. Another problem I've been noticing over the years too, which is kind of related, is even the folks that we held up high from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even further than that. There's always someone who will bring up some reason why they don't like him. To kind of, if you're not a strong-minded person, to kind of shake your belief or your like for certain peoples in the past. I'll just mention one name, and that's Dr. Amos Wilson. People will if you let people tell it, he's the worst voice that we've ever had. And so that's becoming tiring as well. But there's one thing, just to get back to the video itself. One thing I know Charleston White says here, Anthony, if you can hear my voice, it's saying that you need to connect your mic or cam before you can be brought up. So step down and try to come back up again, all right? But one thing he noticed here, he said to Black Americans, he said, go to Africa and see how they treat you. My question is, has Charleston White gone to Africa? And has he been kicked in his ass in Africa? Why are folks who have never been, because I have doubts that he's been, because most times when you hear a Black American talk about going to Africa, they come back and tell you how it changed their life. I was recently watching the martial artist, Michael Jai White, do an interview. And he was talking about he went to Africa and it changed his life. It changed his life. He saw where he was an African too. So what is Charleston White talking about, and why is it allowed for someone who hasn't been to say something like that, and it's okay? We've got Anthony, it's still saying you have to connect your mic or cam, so try again for me, please. Why is this? Why is this allowed? Right? I don't get it. Anyway, I've ran on a bunch, but Trigger Happy 262 in the chat, he says the true essence and logical conclusion of a Black American identity, if we're being blunt, he says, when one says they are American, they are conceding that their countrymen is the white majority of the country. Even the etymology of America is an Italian man. Well said. With that said, let me welcome in the latest addition to the panel, Real Black Gentleman. Real Black Gentleman, how are you this week?
I'm all right. I'm chill.
Good. Thanks for coming through. I'll start with you, Real Black Gentleman. Charleston White's message to Black America. What say you to that message?
I mean, I don't agree with it. Part of it is just kind of understanding where he's coming from and what, in essence, he's expressing. I mean, he's just saying simply that, the status quo as it's almost like I almost going to call this shit hood creationism. Oh, for real. As if, there's no history in the world to the best of your knowledge and all the experiences and input and stimuluses that you've had in your life is basically the tantamount to the entirety of the universe. And that anything that in your relative life and relative, environment, supersedes the collective of what it kind of is the average of people's experiences. You know what I'm saying? So, he's saying, I mean, what he's saying is just a reactionary, position that, this is the best we have based off of nothing else. They hate us based off of nothing else. Very broad sweeping generalizations that, have no substance, have no analysis to them. I don't, he gonna say what he gonna say. I mean, it's again, I gotta, have a bit of a line, what I'm saying? I can't have America just be a place of just, absentness. There is something about people, wanting to defend, their relative nationality. You know what I'm saying? There is a degree of validity to that, but I think naturally he takes it on a extreme nativist kind of a bend where it's just like, America good, everything else bad. You know what I'm saying? Us black good, them black bad. Them white, us white folk good, them other bad. You know what I'm saying? Really, simple and no nuance, no texture. You know what I'm saying? everyone gonna say what they gonna say. You know what I'm saying? In this country, you can more or less say more or less wherever you want, more or less. But the people who he's speaking to are the people who already are, I'm afraid, the people with the same kind of reactiveness, and it's just people who may be uncertain about the world, again, ill-informed, not, I read, African newspapers for years, just trying to figure out what's going on from their, from an African perspective. You know what I'm saying? When you don't even pay attention to what people are saying, what's going on the ground, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be biased. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hear the first thing that comes to your mind, and chances are that first thing is something pushed on you by an outside source. So I'm going to yield the mic.
Well said, RBG. Well said. And I'm going to contrast that with this comment here from Arthur. Shout out to Arthur. He said, if you're born in America, you're American. If you're born in Jamaica, you're Jamaican. Don't read too much into it. The problem with that oversimplistic response to what this guy's Charleston Light just said is what RBG just stated. It lacks texture. It's too simplistic. It lacks nuance. Like RBG just said, everyone comes from somewhere, and you're gonna be proud of where you're from on some level. But the thing that I think most people try to get across to the Black American is what Dr. John Henry Clark said, is be proud of where you're from, but always remember you're an African still. So yeah, I'm proud to be from the Caribbean. I'm proud to be a Bahamian, sure. But I don't forget where I'm from, where my people are actually from. I don't talk shit about Africans. Should they do better on some levels? Absolutely. But I don't deny my Africanness. This is the problem with this guy, Charleston White's analysis up here on the screen currently. Shout out to Afro Native World. He says, when Africa is born in you, you're African regardless of birthplace. Absolutely. Right? Trigger Happy says to that, the correct conclusion we should build towards. Right? Trigger Happy says, I think Black people in America and be proud of their history without being proud of America. This is why you can make a distinction between New African versus American. Trigger, I'm not too certain. There's something missing in something you said. Shout out to Brother Bakari out there. He said peace and Black African power. So shout out to him. Make sure you guys are tuned into Brother Bakari. I think I forgot to say this earlier. Make sure you're tuned into Brother Bakari, the Forecast Radio, Realm in the Bush as well. Oh, and Kofi the Black Critic. How can I forget? Kofi the Black Critic as well. With that said, that was RBG. Let me welcome in our brother Black Steel this week. Black Steel, how are you this week?
I'm doing great, Koku. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Were you able to see this video?
I did see it earlier. So this is the one where he says white people are our only allies.
Yeah. Talk about it, Black Steel.
This dude, who keeps giving this clown a platform is what I want to know. He's an obvious agent, right? He has no respect for Black people. He said himself, we not Africans, we niggas, So this dude is just, at this point, I feel like it's insulting to keep putting this clown up here. They just put an innocent Black man to death. What do you mean white people are our only allies? They literally put an innocent Black man to death, and they blocked the evidence that could have cleared him. Every negative thing that happens to Black people in this country is a result of white people and their hatred for us. He even had the nerve to say white people taught us to read. Who kept us from reading, Charleston? Who passed the laws? Who made it a crime to teach Black people to read, Charleston? You see, this type of nonsense, it only works on low IQ. I don't want to say IQ, low intelligence individuals who have no knowledge of history, who are completely unaware of anything that Black people have been through. Just the very idea that Black people are Americans is just an absurd idea, because they literally made us 3/5 of a human being in the Constitution. They dehumanized us in their founding document. And even after a war that killed more Americans than any other conflict, they still everything possible. Everything that Black people have accomplished in America has been in spite of white people, not because of it. And I hate when Black people say that we built this country. Yeah, under duress. Do you think your ancestors wanted to build this shit, or do they want to go back home? So it always baffles me when I hear this nonsense. This dude, it's not enough. I don't know. I mean, I know we can't really endorse violence on this site, but I don't wish death on anybody. But I have read some obituaries, right, with great excitement, and to quote Mark Twain. So I don't wish death on Charleston White, but if his obituary came up in the newspaper, I might cut the grill on to celebrate. That's all I'm saying. But everything he says is just so ass backwards. It's so contradictory to history. You really have to be out of your mind to listen to anything he says. White people, I mean, even when he says that if you go to other countries, they people don't love you. It's straight out the State Department talking points. If you know your history, if you know the history of black people in America and across the world, many countries have been very sympathetic to Black people in America's struggle. I always mention how when the 1979, when the Iranians took the hostages, they let all the Black people go. During World War II, during Vietnam War, the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong would make up, hey, soul brother, not your war. It's not your war. We don't have no beef with y'all. So to say that there's no suspect, or we don't have no understanding of all the other countries hate us, he's nonsense. It's nonsense. What the fuck is he talking about? This dude is a clown. And just look at him. He's a modern day step and fetch it. It's I don't even have enough words to say how much I hate this dude. I'm literally having to come up with new words to describe how much I hate, because it's not so much the fact that he's stupid, but he has a platform, he has a microphone. If he would just be stupid and quiet, I could live with that, But to be loud and stupid, I struggle with that, And his reactionary points of view are just devoid of any type of historical nuance or anything. To say that white people are your allies, when white people are literally doing everything possible to take back every right we've gained, every right our ancestors have fought and bled for. What are you talking about? That's all I got to say. I'll leave it there. Thanks, Koku.
Black Seal was hitting them up. I like that. Black Seal, before you go, let me ask you a quick question, because you said something very important here.
Of course.
You said historical analysis. Not everyone is a historian. And Black folks got to start to learn that too about these folks on the internet. Not everyone is a historian. Some people just talking out their ass. But Black Seal, when Charleston White talks about the gang issue and the negative music, do you agree with him in that, or do you disagree with him there as well?
I disagree with him on that, because the negative music and the gang issue don't appear in a vacuum, right? Black people's condition and the way we respond. Black people have maladapted to a bad situation, right? So the gang issue doesn't appear in a vacuum. The negative music doesn't appear in a vacuum, right? What Black people have done is that we have maladapted to an oppressive system, right? Whenever somebody says, make the analogy of crabs in a barrel. Crabs don't naturally occur in barrels. Somebody put these crabs in a barrel, and the crabs are behaving in a way that is detrimental to their long-term survival. But we ignore the initial catalyst, the initial cause. We focus so much on the effect that we don't look at the cause of the problem, which is white global domination, which is being put in a restrictive, oppressive, racist system. So Charleston White ignores that, but he wants to talk about gangs and negative music. Like, white people didn't need gangs. They didn't need rap music to lynch us. They were lynching Black people in suits when they were listening to ragtime and jazz. You know, you talk about gangs, but the gangs don't are a creation of a society that literally has closed most avenues for black people to progress in society. So if you're not gonna look at the root cause, but you're gonna sit here and blame the victim, he really doesn't have anything to say. I don't think he's right on anything he says. Nothing. I don't like to look at him on them raggedy ass dating shows. He's a modern day minstrel. And the fact that he has people who say he actually makes good points is kind of hurtful. You know, he can get thousands and millions of views, and we struggle to get views on our show. And here we are talking real talk with educated black people who actually love other black people. It's really telling where our focus is. We got to get. I know we've said this before. We got to get serious, man. Black people have to get serious. The time for playing and half measures is done. So I'll leave it there. You know, he's not right about anything he says. He's a clown.
I appreciate that, Black Steel. I really do. It reminds me, I think about this thing Bakari says. He said it recently on a post I put up. I can't remember which. I think it was when African Streams was removed from a lot of major platforms. We got to get serious, like Black Steel said, but also we got to start working, man. We got to get to work because these guys, they get the image and the talking points plastered all over the place. And we aren't. And reality is we need to get more people busy. We got to keep working every day, man. Bakari in the chat says he agreed with me, but the people that listen to him, to Charleston White, is more stupid. I do feel you on that, Bakari. Shout out to KW7 in the chat. He says, I see why Umar Johnson is refusing to interact with this Joker. Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Black Steel made a good point. I tend to like his takedown of the gang stuff, but you're right. He never includes the white folks who promote that shit. You know, who promote those people who do that. So, well done, Black Steel. Thank you for that. Let's welcome in our brother Anthony McPhail this week. Anthony, how are you?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. How y'all doing, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for coming through.
Everybody, Black Steel. How you doing, brother?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Doing great, bro. How about you?
Yeah, man.
Yes,
yeah, Buona. Yeah, man. This the brothers pretty much covered it, man. Steel, he did a great job on that. You know, this just on the thing. I'll give him another name though, Black Steel. You know what I'm saying? I call him Fiddler. Remember old Fiddler from Roots. You know what I'm saying? I call him Fiddler. You know, when Kunta Kinte was, you know, when he was telling Kunta Kinte, you in America now, boy, you in America. But you ain't no African no more. You in America. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, you know, that's just some of the, when I listen, it was kind of funny to me a little bit because, you know, he got this like a comedian type vibe about him, you know what I'm saying? Just some stupidity, man. But, you know, like I was looking at something he was talking about earlier this week, man. I'm just like, you know, this Negro here is crazy as hell. I mean, you know, you can't take nobody like that seriously, man. Only fools take him seriously. You know, we got a lot of us act like some damn fools. You know what I'm saying? Listening to this foolishness that he's talking about. But like, this is what I wanted to say. I want to go back to something that Brother Koku was saying. Like when you was talking about the part about being proud of where you're from. Okay, just check this out for a minute, Koku. Okay, you as a brother, as an African from the Bahamas, okay, you know, you had your country. That's your country. That's your nation. You had a nation. You know what I'm saying? You know, regardless of how it started, but you know, you have a nation. So you know what I'm saying? Those are some black people with a country. You know, and they run their country. They the administrators and everything. So yeah, you know, you got a right to be proud. You know what I'm saying? But as and other black people from all over other parts of the diaspora from Africa, they got a right to be proud. But see, this is a different dynamic with black people in America, nor with black people in Canada. You know what I'm saying? Or with black people in the UK. We don't live in our own country. We live in a place that we was brought to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, America is a white settler state. This is a white settler colony. You know what I'm saying? This is a settler colony. And no, I mean, this like even right now today. I mean, hey, you gotta keep it real. The majority of white people in America do not even look at black people like we're Americans. You know what I'm saying? Because in which we ain't Americans. What's the first thing they say in an argument? Go back to Africa. You know what I'm saying? So they don't even look at you like you're an American. You know what I'm saying? But what I wanted to say was, I can't say you can say you're a proud Bahamian. I can't say I'm a proud American. Because if I say I'm a proud American, I got to say, yeah, I'm proud that my country, America, that we slaughtered the indigenous people and took their land. You know what I'm saying? I got to say, I'm proud that my nation, my American nation, we bought African people from across the ocean and enslaved them for 300-400 years. You know what I'm saying? I got to say, I'm proud of that if I'm a proud American. I got to say, I'm proud that America invaded and ruled Haiti from 1915 to 1935, and that they did all that same shit, the big stick policy that they had all over the Western Hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? That they call the Caribbean our backyard. You know what I'm saying? I got to be proud of our military invading Grenada. You know, and all of the shit it did to undermine the Grenadian Revolution. You know what I'm saying? It contribute to the death of Maurice Bishop. You know what I'm saying? And to Patrice Lumumba being assassinated in the Congo. The CIA was behind that. So everywhere they went, Somalia, wherever they went in the black world, if I'm a proud American, I'm proud to be America. I'm co-signing with all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? How's a black man gonna be proud of all of that shit? You know what I'm saying? How I'm gonna be proud of right now, the cell phone I'm holding in my hand, that American corporations over there exploiting the hell out of the Congo for the coltan. It got children over there working for $2 a day. I can't co-sign. I can't say that. See, you can say that because you got your own country. I don't have no country. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a country. I'm just living. I'm basically like a colony myself. No, black people, we like a colony. No, we don't have no goddamn country. Even though we got as much arch in our back than anybody, want to fight for this motherfucker, you know, and do everything. And I'm American and all this pledge allegiance to the flag and all that shit. Even though they got even in that national anthem, they talk about rebellious slaves. You know what I'm saying? I just can't do it. I can't co-sign with it. It's strike different for me as a black man who has some African consciousness, who's a black nationalist, who believe in Garveyism, who believe in black independence. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I can't look at it and say, man, I can't drape myself in that ugly ass flag. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I can do is wipe my ass with it. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that. Because I feel sick. I feel sick even when you call me a black American. You know what I'm saying? I always say I'm an African in America. You know, when you call me a black American, I ain't dissing nobody. I ain't like, you know, I understand where you're coming from. You know, we just use it in context. But that made me sick. Don't call me in a motherfucking America. You know what I'm saying? Now, hey, I wish I was born in the Bahamas or Haiti so I can have a country. But I don't have no damn country, man. I don't want to go too far. But yeah, that's how I feel about it, man. And, you know, I don't have no country. I can't say I'm a proud American because America ain't never did shit for me to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? How am I be proud of white nationalism? You know what I'm saying? We get up in the morning, send our asses to school and saying, my country, tears of these sweet land, all that shit from sea to shining sea. That's manifest destiny. That means taking over people's shit. How am I co-sign with that? I'll knock off right there, man.
Well said, Anthony. No, and you know, of course, I agree with you. I think Trigger Happy on the screen puts it the best. I think black people in America can be proud of their history while on this land, but without being proud of America. So I do co-sign what you're saying. I agree. I just tend to mean that be proud of yourselves, of course. You know what I mean? But don't be a jingoist for America. You know what I mean? Thank you for that, Anthony. Let's welcome in our new panelist, Ditso Latin America.
Let me introduce him. Yeah, Coco, this is one of my guests, brother. So let me just introduce him. He is he is a Afro-Indigenous American from Costa Rica, intellectual brother. You know, and I invited him on to the show because he's been on several of our platforms, Ko-fi and other panels. Very intelligent brother from Costa Rica, and I felt like he could add something to our discussions and dialogue because he is from the so-called Spanish-speaking world in Southern America, and hopefully he'll be able to give us some assistance in that side of the world, what's happening in the Black world, in that part of the world as well. So go ahead, Ditso.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm glad I was able to catch it. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. Pura vida, Ewa. Those are two ways we say hello here. Ewa is an indigenous from the Bribri. Pura vida is the usual Spanish greeting here in Costa Rica. So, to give a little perspective and to join what the prior person was speaking in regards to this, what's interesting for me in the Western Hemisphere, this place we call America, is that it seems that in the last 200 to 248 years of our history, those of us who are not in the United States have to continuously fight in reminding United States that the majority of slaves that were brought through the Atlantic slave trade were not delivered into what is modern day United States today, but it was between what was under the control of the Spaniards, Portuguese, French, etc. And that's mainly Mexico, Central America, current 7 countries, the current 12 countries in South America, plus over 700 islands in the Caribbean, which currently are just about 15 different nations, and then 12 different territories, either for the Commonwealth or for the United States. And that the descendancy of that slavery, either being mixed or be it monoparental or being Afro-Indigenous with that mixture, currently out of the population of all Latin America is about 150 million. We more than double the blackness of United States. However, what people don't come to realize is that that blackness in the Western Hemisphere is highly influenced by the medias of the United States. And that contributes to the systematic erasure of of that particular identity. And we see it today with the conversations of FBAs, or Foundational Black Americans, as if the only foundational Black Americans in the process of independence in the last 248 years was that of the United States, which it is not true. United States may have started and became one of the first nations to become independent. But then if we look at the process of Haiti, Mexico, Central America, South America, etc., we start seeing that one of the major things that independence brought in the majority of Latin American countries was the abolishment of slavery. And it took 90 years for United States to abolish that particular slavery that our countries had abolished prior to the United States. Being the United States, Brazil, and Cuba, the last 3 countries to abolish slavery in that manner. In Brazil, it took them 60 years after their independence to abolish slavery, even though in the moment they became independent, they did abolish it, but there are historical conversations that can be related into Brazil. And then Cuba was the last one because they became independent until 1188 or 1888. So without wanting to monopolize the show, etc., I guess that the major, what really caught my attention of the prior speaker, he falls into a minority of those who feel proud of being a U.S. citizen in conjunction with the history of what is being Afro-descendants, Black, or any other term of that nature that you want to utilize. The majority I've seen in this conversation in my last 25 years as an adult having this type of conversations is that there is a pride, a major group of pride, even if the history of that of the United States and its relation towards the Afro-descendancy populations have clearly shown that it wasn't the best in any way. I mean, United States set up an apartheid state for over 100 years after the Civil War. But at the same time, that prideness gives a certain action of saying, or some saying, the only valid and legit blackness in the Western Hemisphere is that the one born in the United States. So not only do they show that pride, but then they associate themselves directly or indirectly towards that that white man's imperialistic mindset, and they contribute to it in some circumstances. That's what I wanted to put on the table to perhaps elaborate more conversation. But thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate you coming through. Did so. For some reason, when Juan was saying Costa Rica, in my mind, I was thinking it was Colombia, but I guess it is Costa Rica. So thank you. And I appreciate all your contributions that you've had on the other shows too. I saw you on with Kofi the Black Critic. That was a good conversation. Kofi the Black Critic and Buana. Good conversation. So thank you for being here. Just stick around as we get through to everyone else, and then we'll have a further conversation after. Buana's next. Charleston White's message to Black Americans. What say you, Buana?
Yeah, so I'll try to be brief. Yeah, and considering some of the statements that was made, Black Steels made a statement. He said that this guy reminds him of a modern day Stephen Fetchit. That's interesting because, first of all, let me say this, Coco. Do you know Stephen Fetchit family was from the Bahamas and their daddy was from Jamaica? That's a whole nother conversation. I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. But during Stephen Fetchit time, Stephen Fetchit was extremely popular, not only among white folks, but Black folks as well. And we have to ask the question, why was he so popular? And this particular gentleman, he is very popular today as well. Not only among white people, but many Black folks agree with many of the sentiments that Charleston White has, whether we want to admit that or not. That's part of his popularity. He just says it in a way that the regular street man on the street will be able to accept a lot of the things. But Charleston White, if you look under his videos, you see hundreds of thousands of people listen to what he has to say. So he can't easily be dismissed. I don't know why it is. Maybe the algorithms direct these kinds of people and turn them into very popular people. I don't know if YouTube is creating these narratives where they make sure that these people's faces are within the algorithms, the Tariq Nasheeds, the Charleston Whites, people with their sentiments. You know, it's interesting. Anthony told us last week to listen to a speech from Amiri Baraka. Now, Amiri Baraka had a view that was almost a very nationalistic one, a very cultural one, a very Garvey-esque one, a very Pan-African one. But now you fast forward that message, and that message has flipped. Who's popular right now? Because in his day, he was very popular, Amiri Baraka. But today, these guys are popular. What messages are they carrying? They are carrying a very extremely right-wing message. Extremely right-wing message. You say, well, why are these guys? They sound like Thomas Sowell. They sound like Trump. They are very right-wing and extreme in their views, but they just have Black faces. How is that possible? Could it be that the powers that be are creating these kinds of individuals in terms of popularity? Could it be? Could it be? Because the messaging has changed. Why is Charleston White so popular? I mean, if you just merely go through some of the comments that we'd have made, say the white man has not violated our constitutional rights. Everyone saw George Floyd's rights, constitutional rights, violated by the act of Derek Chauvin sitting on George Floyd's neck. And this man says the white man doesn't violate our constitution. I mean, does he know what the Constitution says? This is the first question you have to ask. Then he goes into the dialogue of, oh, the Africans don't like us. The Africans don't want us there. I'm like, anyone who would have read the autobiography of Malcolm X would know when Malcolm X went to Africa, how he was embraced by Africans and loved by Africans. Anyone who read or followed the life of Martin Luther King, these are popular people within America. They would know how the leaders in Africa embraced Martin Luther King in his time when he went to Africa. So why would this man say that Africans don't like us, they don't care for us, they will mistreat us in Africa? Where did he get that message from? I mean, did he go to Africa before? These are right-wing kind of tropes, because there was a memorandum. I can't remember exactly what it was. This guy named Zbigniew Brzezinski. He was a international political analyst for the United States of America. I think one of the things that he was trying to do, along with what administration it was, I can't remember the name of that. I can't remember the president who was in office at the time. I think that Anthony will be able to remind me. They were trying to keep the African Americans separate and separated from the rest of the African and Black world. That was a memorandum of the American government. That was an intentional one that they was trying to promote. And I think that that is still in effect. That is still in effect to this day. There's two terms I want the audience or the brothers on the panel to consider. There's a term in prison parlance called institutionalization. Institutionalization. And the other term is called Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome. Institutionalization. When a prisoner goes to jail initially, right? Initially, he on the outside world, he is used to foraging for his own food. He is used to fighting for his right for food, clothes, and shelter. But when he goes into prison or a plantation, after a while, that slave becomes comfortable on that plantation. He is fed 3 meals a day. 3 meals a day. He is provided housing. He is provided shelter. He's provided all these things. After 10 and 20 and 30 and 40 years, he started to say, you know what? This plantation, this prison ain't so bad for me. I become used to being able to get all the accoutrement, all the things that this plantation offers me. I could set my clock to know that I'm gonna be fed at 6 o'clock in the morning, and someone will provide it for me. After a while, that comfortability becomes love, endearment. The CEO, the master of the plantation, he loves me, takes care of my family. Look how he provides me the food, clothes, and shelter. All I have to do is work on his plantation vigilantly. He's become institutionalized. He is no longer a free man. He is a slave. This is the reason why I think Harriet Tubman say that she freed 1,000 slaves during her lifetime, and she could have freed 1,000 more, but if they only knew they were slaves. This is what she said. And these people don't know that they are slaves. He's become comfortable in his institutionalization and don't even know it. This is a dangerous thing. When a free man becomes a slave and don't even recognize that he is actually a slave or living and functioning as one. That's why he could make the statements, the only brother is my mortal enemy. The person who subject me and put me into slavery, he's like, that's my only brother. Imagine a statement like that. That's the level of institutionalization a man have to go through after a period of time. Yes. And you see it on display. You see it, and you see many people agree to this man's statement. Black people who look just like me and you, very dangerous. This is the reason why back in the day, running away was a dangerous thing, especially when you used to tell other slaves on the plantation. When you tell other slaves, they would snitch on you. They say, where you going? You trying to upset master's house and master's king for? I am comfortable here. This is institutionalization. This is institutionalization, a very dangerous thing, very dangerous. But now it's become popular. Being on the plantation and being institutionalized has become popular now. because we don't even want to talk about freedom. That whole thing about Pan-Africanism and doing for self, I don't want to hear that bullshit. This is what they say online. But it's ideological warfare. It's ideological warfare. And it's something that we, as people who may be a little bit better informed, must buttress against. And this is the challenge, I think, when we do these kinds of shows. But I'll leave it there, just to be brief. I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that, Buana. Let me just shout out Sister Raw is out there in the chat. She says greetings to all of us. Jose is out there in the chat. Jose is now up on the panel. Before I go to him, KWAZ7 said the guy who Buana was referencing, we talked about that on the show some years back too. He said he was President Carter's national security advisor. Real black gentleman added NSM 200 is the name of it. KWAZ7 says Mink Sly, he's talking about Tariq Nasheed, mentioned this memorandum when he was cosplaying as a Pan-Africanist. Now he's following it, shaking my damn head. With that said, let's welcome in our brother Jose to the panel. Jose, how are you this week?
Yes. Okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. Not so, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate that.
Yes. The topic?
Charleston White's message to Black Americans. You actually posted this, Jose.
Yes. I posted it. I saw it, and I saw the similarities with South Africa, and it's all the same. And maybe you guys remember as Cape Verdean this nonsense is old. Like we are new people, we are a new race. The African scarecrow. Everybody uses the African scarecrow, even South Africans, right? Like they steal. I remember even Dynest wanted to blame immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, for gang violence, etc. So it's we're underestimating the phenomena. It's not. I'm afraid it's not as rare as we want to believe it. I'm afraid it's not a social media cult. It's everywhere. It's popping up in hits. And even if the artist doesn't intend to send that message, but it's being picked up as that message, and it's being so rampant. Everybody is. I don't know. It's like people don't see it. We talk about it, but we don't see the power of it. I mean, think about it, right? When it was obvious that we didn't have rights. Right, be it Jim Crow, be it apartheid, or be it colonialism, because in colonialism, life was actually the same as apartheid, but now nobody actually makes that connection. But anyway, in those days, it was obvious that we were oppressed, that rights were taken from us. And that's why we fought. That's why we resisted, right? And now it's not obvious. It's a mental. The bars are. I remember writing something like the bars are metal bars, or mental bars are stronger than metal bars, or something like that. So you see in South Africa and the United States, you're free to go anywhere you want, but here you are, proud of the corner that you protect that isn't yours. You can't go to your mama's home because she hates the face of your father, but you're so proud of your voting right, and the melting pot that the United States is, and all that nonsense. But between the lines, you hear misery, right? You hear unsatisfied people, a lot of them are old. I guess like my age, half a century, or 40 or 60 years, or older. I believe most of them are older, and the younger ones, I don't know, maybe the younger ones are into pretendians, and those other fantastic short month studies, right? So I mean, these short month Americans, the February African, the February Black Americans, a lot of the nonsense. It, it's not even like yes, I believe Tariq and this Charleston, they are pushed, right. The algorithm pushes them. I'm practically sure, but even with that, right, where is our fallback mechanism, right? Where is our program we fall back on? Because we are partially, we ourselves are responsible. So I made this joke, like a short month PhD. I came up with this joke for short month PhD, right? February Black American. But let's be honest here, right? A lot of the nonsense we have been repeating them every February, right? Every February we were black, and the rest of the month we had to wake up early and work for Massa. Also in February, but in February we were free to fantasize, and this is the result. So this is our heritage. This nonsense is what we have for our children. Like stop it, right? Let's be more responsible. Okay, it's being pushed. Yes, okay. And right, it's we are powerless against our own nonsense. That's what I'm trying to say. And I wish everybody good luck, right? Because my Pan Africanism is kind of changing. I'm protecting my mental freedom, and I'm like, okay, guys, you figure it out, right? You guys, you in South Africa, figure it out, right? Because this hurts too much. I don't even want to see you online with the nonsense. African Americans, guys, you figure it out. Yes, there were blacks present before Columbus, etc., etc. Figure it out. You among you, figure it out. Caribbeans, you among you, figure it out. South Africans, among you, figure it out, and we'll see each other. Good luck, right? But we need to do something to protect Pan Africanism, the image. We need propaganda. I don't care what this man does, and white man does this, and he does that, etc. When are we going to save the minds of our next generation? And that's actually it. It's my fear that we underestimate the power of this bullshit. And thank you for giving me time to share.
No problem. I appreciate that, Jose. At this time, if anyone has any thoughts, don't wait for me to call on you.
I want to say something. Sorry, Coco. But something I want to say. He mentioned Stockholm syndrome, right? I believe that is an incorrect diagnosis, right? So what Black people have is not Stockholm syndrome. What we have is battered wife syndrome. And there's a difference, because you remember the original case with the Stockholm syndrome, right? The young lady, some people, they were in a bank robbery, and the bank robbers were very nice to them. The bank robbers were polite, and that over time they grew to sympathize with the bank robbers. Whereas with Black people, I say it's more akin to battered wife, because white people have never been nice to us. They've murdered us, they've lynched us, they've castrated us, they've raped us. There's never been a, as a collective, where white people have been nice to Black people. So I think that our condition, in my opinion, would be more akin to battered wife syndrome, right? Where we are constantly being beat on. mistreated, but yet there's still a desire to maybe one day they'll learn how to love us. They'll learn how to treat us with the respect we deserve.
Well,
I want to say that.
there's maybe there's another comparison to make, and that's this relation between covert narcissism and the so-called empath, right? And I've noticed in the Anglophone world, it's like only those two poles. It's the empath and the covert narcissist, right? But in Senegal, I met a French couple, and the wife was a psychiatrist or something in that area, and she had a model with a triangle, and so that third member, that's uh, I think that's us. Like we always want to help. You know that you probably all saw that movie of that white mother asking the child, the boy, her young child, what she would do, what he should do when he's in danger, and the boy answers like, run to the first black man, right? And and that's it, right? Even they punish us, they throw us like jinn, like in the Arabic world, the jinn, like I don't know how to call it in English, but in Dutch it's plaaggeest, like a ghost that
Like a genie, like a genie.
no, it's negative. It trolls you, like poltergeist, right? Poltergeist, like some kind of spirit that they cannot, they don't know better, and it's out of insecurity, like they are afraid of our potential, etc., and they do their best to smear us, right? They move like a single person, like a single covert narcissism, covert narcissist. So the person that they hate, that they marvel, they try to stop, uh, 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 they try they want this person to stop existing, and they want to be that person, right? So a covert narcissism will always make actually the person that they want to be, they paint them black, they smear them. So we are not the empath, we are the helper. So you have in this triangle, the white man is the or this white society is, because in the meantime we have this Charleston white and those type of people, FBA and black South Africans. So the covert you have the covert narcissism, that's the perpetrator. Then you have the empath, and or the narcissistic supply, that's the victim. And I believe us Africans, we are the helper. We are the helper. We want everything to be good, and let's be friends and this and that. Let's behave. Oh, let's be satisfied with voting. But we're free to say what we want. At least we're free to say that what we want. So uh, 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 we we tend to believe in the narcissist, because we are the helper. We want it to work. And that's, yeah, you can dive into it. I forgot the name of that model, but there's a triangle of the covert narcissist. Maybe you can look it up. I believe we are the helper, not the empath. I believe we are the helper. We always try to make something of it, even if it's this mess that the white man made. Like, I mean, listen to Charleston White.
If I may,
Yes, of course.
I want to contribute on something real quickly, but I want to make very clear points. One, as someone who is born in Central America, who lived in the North, Central, South, and Caribbean in the Western Hemisphere, who has had the experience of living with the diversified populations of Afro descendancy as well as indigenous throughout the whole Western Hemisphere. My expertise is in regards to the Western Hemisphere. In regards of Africa, I've never been there. I've never stepped a foot on Africa. Yet, as somebody from the Western Hemisphere, as a Pan American, a concept that has been there for way long, at least 400 years, in this idea of Pan Americanism, and more strongly after the last 200 to 248 years. I'm, of course, always inclined to support Pan Africanism in the perspective of that unity of the 54 nations within the continental Africa. But I want to make a very clear distinction that I think, and I've noticed this is problematic in the Anglo-speaking section of the Western Hemisphere, and it's also emulated in Western Europe and emulated in the rest of the world. The problem is as follows. When we're speaking and referring about the Western Hemisphere, aka America, aka this collection of 35 nations, we have to make a clear distinction. One, the process of colonization that happened here was met systematically with fierce resistance. To give some examples, Pablo Presbere in Costa Rica, Tupac Amaru in Peru, and many others that were there. From that moment of the arrival of Europeans up till 1776, we see that systematic blowing up of those revolutions of of slavery as well as of indigenous, and a combination of those two, which then culminated eventually in the process that we know as independence. One thing that I've always looked into is that, for example, if we look at the era of independence in Africa, there are three clear stages of that process of independence, of decolonization, of becoming free as possible from the Europeans in that sense. And that three stages is extremely fascinating to see and to analyze in every sense of the word, because the first country to become independent in Africa, and I guess I will be speaking to the choir on this one, but just to make it clear, was Liberia in 1847. Then it took a 60-year period, and between 1910 and the 1941, only three other countries became independent, which were Africa, Egypt, and Ethiopia. And then the major gross of those processes of independence started happening from the 50s onward. The last country to become independent in Africa, if I'm not incorrect, please correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but it was South Sudan, the Republic of South Sudan, on 2011. This being understood, this process, in contrast to what happened in Western Hemisphere, by the time the majority, or by the time Africa started the process of independence, the majority of our countries, either United States or then Mexico, Central America, South America, had anywhere between 40 to 20 years of being independent already. So one thing that really amazes me, that creates this disjunctive, huh?
I'm curious where this is going.
I'm sorry. To be very concise, why did I give this explanation? Because one thing that amazes me is that the necessary recognition of what happened in the last 200 to 248 years and the influence that had in other parts of the world of where colonization was happening, be it Africa, Asia, is necessary to then understand that clear distinction between the African descendants of slavery in the Western Hemisphere and their involvements or our involvements in those processes, as well as the indigenous and the mix, versus the African that has always been in Africa, or the Asian that has been in Asia in many ways. And that distinction takes us to a clear conversation that needs to be well established, and that has not happened. And the reason that it's not happening is because
What's the conversation? What's that conversation? Not why it's not happening. What's the conversation?
okay, the very basic um conversation is how in the last 200 to 248 years the establishment of modern day democracies, starting with the Western Hemisphere, has created the conditions to not only, I'm trying to be very concise, to not only understand why we're at the stages that we're at today in the history, but also the relevance of how African descendancy in the Western Hemisphere contributed and formed that notion of freedom and democracy, as well as indigenous
Democracy?
Mhm.
Are we? I'm trying to understand. So I may formulate my phrases a bit edgy, but are you proud that you have democracy, and maybe you think there were no revolts in there was no resistance in Africa? I'm trying to understand. So what is this conversation that is not that we didn't have yet? What is this conversation that we need to have? Please help me.
Well, let me just jump in real quick because we're a little bit off topic. I want to bring this. This is the follow up to all the conversations that all the participants had. So, number one, I like y'all to be brief with your follow ups, but also keep it on topic. We're talking about Charleston White's message to Black Americans, and amongst that message was this idea that Africans will treat Black Americans badly, and that the white man is their real ally and brother. So, is there any follow up conversations to what others have said
I just
concerning
want to
this?
say something really quick before we go. Charleston White talks a lot of crap, but trust and believe that he has no real traction among the people, right? He's a big mouth. He has a platform, but the reason why he's being pushed, the reason why he's so popular, air quotes, is because the empire knows that their back is against the wall, right? They know they can't maintain their domination of the planet for too much longer. They're trying to juggle too many things, and the world is on the brink of war, right? We already see what's going on over there in Lebanon, over there in the Middle East. We can see escalation at any time now. So the empire, the American empire, needs to maintain their control, and need to make sure that if they can't maintain their physical control, they're trying to maintain the mental control. And that's why you start to see the Charleston Whites and the Tariq Nasheeds, because their grasp is slipping. And that's what I think we have to focus
Exactly.
on. This is a cry of desperation. I think we need to pay attention to that.
I agree
Exactly.
100%.
100% that it's a cry of desperation, and it's an attack on the freedom that's happening, because what's happening right now on the African continent is the counter against this vibration of in South America and Charleston White's vibe, like we're safe here in freedom and democracy, right? So I was going to pull it back to the subject, Charleston White, with what the brother just said, the freedom and the democracy. Okay, you guys are satisfied. Us Africans are not yet satisfied, right? You can see it in the Sahel. Freedom. This is not freedom. This democracy that the West has this view that the West has pulled over the globe is not freedom and democracy. It's a joke. We need to work. We're not yet there. We're not the boss over our own minds because of those spells that they throw at us. Freedom and democracy. What freedom and democracy? By their rules? We practically, the whole world thinks freedom and democracy is on this side, and that's good, and the rest, Russia and China, that's not freedom and democracy. And oh yeah, the mess in Africa, that's not freedom and democracy. We are free and democratic. That's the soft way of seeing exactly the same thing as Charleston, right? Thank you.
Look, in matters of Charleston White, I've heard his message, and as a Latin American, all I hear is the words of a gringo, what we call the gringo mentality, the exceptionalist, self-righteous, self-centered conversation that keeps on pushing a ahistorical bullshit. The Tariqs, this type of guys, etc. Those are the gringos that speak without understanding the history of the Western Hemisphere or even this continent that we call America.
If there's no last thoughts on this prompt, I'll go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2. Good discussion, by the way, but let's just keep it on topic. Also, for those who might be new here tonight, we try to get through 5 topics by 11 p.m. So we have, I mean, if a conversation is going well, you know, we might not make the 5, but we try to make the 5.